Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches, exposing the lies about alcohol.
And giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol-free.
And don't forget, grab a copy of our wine-free weekend guide after the show. Welcome back to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. I have a surprise, a special guest. Joshua James is here. And I'm going to just tell a little bit. Welcome, Josh. I'm going to say a little bit about him, and then we're going to get into this talk. We're going to have a really just candid conversation. So excited to be here with Susan as usual. And we have Joshua James. He's a gregarious 42-year-old. He's a career bartender who always had a passion for sharing the vast world of cocktails, beer, wine, and others. However, he knew for years that he needed to stop drinking. So at late 37, he made a commitment to quit alcohol for a year to see what would fill the void of something that was so prominent in his life. 11 months into his journey, he became the owner of Ocean Beach Cafe in San Francisco. Because he wasn't drunk or hungover, he opened it for a very specific reason: to create a hospitality-driven, non-alcoholic bar and retail bottle shop. And his goal was to lure people into the space with great coffee, sandwiches. And so he could show them that the thriving world of non-alcoholic beer, wine, elixirs, and cocktails, all while in a modern sobriety movement, it's taking hold, right? And to backtrack a bit, in 2020, Joshua began his path to sobriety at the Friendship House, a Native American inpatient treatment center in San Francisco. And then he started creating the No Booze Reviews as Josh the Non-Alcoholic on YouTube, reviewing as many non-alcoholic beverages as he could get his hands on. So Ocean Beach Cafe became one of the first non-alcoholic bars and bottle shops in the world. Wow. And has conducted almost 1,000 hour-long tastings and 90-minute NA mixology classes by reservation. So Ocean Beach Cafe has been very successful as a vibrant community hub, hosting weekly beach cleanups, serving plenty of lattes and sandwiches, and providing awareness to nearly every customer about the growing movement of people choosing to drink less or not at all. So welcome, Joshua. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Welcome. So stoked to be here. Thank you guys for having me. It's going to be fun.
Yes. Yeah. So I know I just told kind of a lot there, but do you want to just continue with any other introduction and maybe provide a bit of more of a background on your alcohol-free journey? Let's start there. Yeah,
I think you guys covered a lot of things. Full disclosure, I did write that with the help of you guys. So I kind of wanted to pack it all in, but there's so much to talk about that, I could write that 1.5 minute introduction and still have easily 45 minutes to talk about this very, very big thing that's going on. This is certainly not a small thing. I'm quite sure that people don't really, really know how big of a thing it is. I'd love to talk about that and a bunch of other things. But yeah, you don't get all of this stuff if I was just continuing drinking like I did for 20 years. And it took a radical shift to get there. And I know that can be scary for a lot of people. And I recommend just flipping that and being like, instead of being scared that it's not going to be fun or life just will be more dull, you can totally flip that around and be like, get excited about it. Like, what fills that void? Because there is so much that can be added to life and what you put out there and what comes back around and so many other things. So go for it. Get excited about it. Actually, it's nothing to lose.
That's why we're called Feel Lit Alcohol Free. Yeah, you're speaking our language, Josh.
Absolutely. I mean, what if you have to lose? I think if you're not all in too, it just is so much less enjoyable. Like that's what, when I decided to make a change, it was like I wanted to create the best life I could alcohol free. Like that goal is so different than just, well, I guess I better quit drinking,
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that.
And the truth is, if you're drinking and hungover, how could you have started a cafe? I mean, at least for me, there was no like those goals and starting like a business just was not possible if you're always hungover. So how did like this idea come about, this Ocean Beach Cafe?
Ocean Beach Cafe came about pretty naturally for me. I had actually dabbled because so I stopped drinking in December 2019, but in that year I had looked into like some. I took like 2 weeks off drinking here and there, and sometimes 3 weeks. In those times, like after about a week, I got like really productive, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun! I can use my brain. I can be really productive." And a couple
Yeah.
of those times, I was like, "Let's look into non-alcoholic bars. Let's look into." I was in Asheville, North Carolina at the time, kind of randomly, and I was like, "Okay, like where would it be? Like what's out there? Would this work? Let's kind of put a little business proposal together." So I was dabbling during that time, and then I went to San Francisco into the Friendship House, and COVID hit. So I was there about 3.5 months. I left, and then I went back to San Francisco to live at a sober living house. And I started those no booze reviews as Josh the Non-Alcoholic on YouTube, and I was actively not being a bartender. I was like, I'm not going to work at another restaurant at 38. I'm good on that for sure. In fact, I'm selling an item on Amazon, and I want to work remotely. But I was shooting those videos, walked into a deli one day to get some coffee, and the guy was like, "You want to buy the place?" And I was like, "Shh." That was how it went down. I was probably there, I don't know, less than a minute, I think. And he was in a really bad spot, permanently closing during COVID. And he's like, I was like, "Yeah, how much?" And he's like, $50,000. And I was like, "For everything?" He's like, "Yeah, it's turnkey. Everything's clean and everything works." And I was like, "Yeah, you mind if I sit down?" And I was half joking, but I was also like, that's just kind of my personality. Like, "Yeah, you mind if I sit down?" And then that ended up happening. And right when I left that conversation, I left and I got on GoDaddy.com and was like oceanbeachcafe.com, enter. And it was like green light. It's available. And I was like,
Love it.
damn it, man, I was getting out of this industry.
Wow.
But it's a new industry. This is actually, Susan and I were just at a Sober in the City event recently, and this is not the same. It's a brand new category, brand new industry,
This absolutely is a new thing for society. And it's not something that's really happened before. Like some things go out of fashion and back in. So like, let's say rum is having a moment in the alcohol world and bartenders know it, so there's a bunch of rum things happening or something like that. It's something that had been before, and then things go cyclical. This is not that.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, there's 500 brands that just came out. And what I like to impress upon people is how powerful that is, that so many brands have come out and all of them are fighting for visibility and awareness of their brands. And then there's like all the news articles that are written about this subject. It's like this new thing. It's trending, but definitely not a fad. And this is just a very, very, very big thing, which I'm looking forward to talking about more, but definitely a new market. And the numbers are much bigger than people know.
Yeah. Yes. In fact, when you and I met you about a year and a half ago at Ocean Beach Cafe to talk about this whole alcohol free movement and everything. And you had said you wanted to get a non-alcoholic beverage in every single restaurant in San Francisco. That was what you were telling me back then. Is that still a goal of yours?
Oh, absolutely. I have so much passion to go talk to every one of the bartenders. One of my jokes is I'm like, if every bartender came into Ocean Beach Cafe for like 6 minutes, the whole landscape of non-alcoholic beverage availability in bars and restaurants in the Bay Area would be completely different. And being so all consumed, having to be at the cafe has not allowed me to get out there like I want to. And I'll tell you right now, they all know about me. Any restaurant and bar that I go to, if I bring it up every single time, more than 9 times out of 10, the bartender's like, oh my God, I've heard about that place. I've been meaning to check it out. I can't wait. And I'm just like, get down here, man. You get down here. You know how important this
So
is.
cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Just so proud of you, Joshua. Like, and you've kind of become, in my mind, like a rock star in the sober verse and you're making it cool, right? I feel cool, that I'm alcohol free actually.
Well, thank you for letting me know that, because I don't get to see it
yeah.
outside of my own world and sphere as much. Although I do get to see it more because I've been traveling a lot, like a lot, which is absolutely the dream. Conventions and public speaking engagements, more conventions, so now I'm in a bunch of different places, and so now I'm starting to get a little bit more of I just had cafe brain in a bad way for like 2.5 years, and now I'm kind of been set free to do what I really want to do. So it's been amazing.
Awesome. And aren't you going to Vienna or something soon? And what's in Vienna?
I'm going to Austria, and I guess Susan is too, right?
Yes.
So we just found out like 2 hours
I know.
Yeah, at the same time.
It's so crazy.
Just found out that
yeah,
like 2
it's very
hours
exciting
ago we're going to be there. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm excited to be there. And I'd heard about this new wine. I actually heard it through your Instagram and Geronimo. And then I think I commented or something. And then in Instagram, they DM'd me and I said, well, I'm going to be in Austria. And they said, well, come by for a tasting. And so I was like, what? That's so great.
It is such a big deal. It is like the biggest deal ever. People always ask me, like, if you were to get, well, are you going to make your own product? I'd get asked that all the time over the years. And I always would say, there's 2 things I'd probably get involved in. And one of them would be like a potent, like 2-ounce, maybe plastic bottle that's easy to ship, that has like a lot of adaptogens and functional ingredients in it. And would be, something that Gen Z would be drinking in a year from now, that something like that. And then something that would make somebody feel something, but that's because it's being productive within the body and brain. Or non-alcoholic red wine. Easy. Like, I mean, whoever cracks non-alcoholic red wine, like is going to be a very successful person. I would always say that, because non-alcoholic red wine is almost not worth buying. Like, almost, I mean, it is, but it's, man,
I haven't found any. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. And it's so hard to do. So Geronimo came to me about 6 or 7 months ago, and it's from Austria, and I'm looking at the label. I'm like, okay, here we go again, non-alcoholic red. And then I smelled it, and I was like, wait a minute. And then I drank it, and I was like, I'm going to talk to the owner. So I was talking to the owner the next day, and we just totally hit it off. It was all very natural. Wow. That they needed to get into the US. And I was like, I know who brings stuff into the US. Like, I can help you with that. And then it just went so well. It's been so natural and so easy. They're so pro, but they're so loving, and they're so passionate about wine. They make a very successful 98-point rated red wine in Austria. And they have so for like decades. And they make other ones as well that are less expensive. But the one they decided to de-alcoholize was their big boy, their Vanguard 98-point. It's called Signio Leonis, as in the sign of Leo. And that was the one that they did. And they got it back out of the German de-alcoholization machines, which is very important because they are the best de-alc machines. And they got it back, and they were like, okay, well, this is the best red in the world. And then they tweaked a couple things. They got me a bottle. A friend of theirs, Felice, brought it to me. And then I was like, oh my goodness, like this isn't just better than every non-alcoholic red wine. It's like multiple levels above anything. It's not a competition. It's unbelievable. And I get so excited about it, because pairing wine with
I can't wait to try it.
And having those kinds of like emotional, memorable experience with wine, those wine experiences that we had, now there's something that you can have them with, and that's just super exciting.
That is so exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait to try it. You get to try it at the winery season. So cool.
Or their tasting room.
Or their tasting room, I mean. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah. So you keep alluding to how big this NA industry and this movement is. Will you share a little bit more about that? What's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing I like to say to people is there's tens of millions of people that just cut back on drinking or just stopped altogether. And I like putting it like that because people drinking less, I've loved that phrase. People, of course, people that drink, they're like, oh yeah, of course I'd like to drink less. But now it's like over 45% of people are participating in dry January. Like that's a huge number. You can, when you see the numbers,
Huge.
it's this, the actual real statistics are from Nielsen IQ, and you can see this leap every year of what it's doing the last 3 years. And that's not even like all of the people that are participating. It's just the stats that they get. There's like other stuff on there. It's bigger than that. But when you're talking about an industry like the alcohol industry, I mean, it's big alcohol. I mean, give me a break. It's huge. It's huge. They are freaking out right now. They are totally freaking out, especially in wine country, because they have a bunch of wine and they have low demand. So they have oversupply and low demand in a bad way.
Yeah.
And that's huge. But liquor companies, they're like, oh man, we had this good for a long time, and now these millennials turn 38 and they're not drinking as much. And for some reason, the 24-year-olds ain't feeling the booze. And this is just getting started. So watching Big Al get
Can
freaked
I
out and pivot.
Can I share something that I actually shared at Sober in the City when I was in person? And I just would love to hear what you have to say about it. It totally dovetails with what you're talking about. So I still get like emails for wine industry events. I'm in wine country, and I used to work in the wine industry for 20 years. So I get these emails, and they were having a conference. And this is an email from them, from the wine industry conference. They said that they're having a session, which will focus on one of the most pressing topics within the wine industry today, the anti-alcohol movement. And this session will review a recent consumer research study. I believe that any reasonable person who has been following the news cannot help but see that the wine industry is in danger. When the World Health Organization, it's time to pay attention. Additionally, our panel will provide viewers with a better understanding and offer tools and inspiration to push back against the rising trend. So what do you think of that, Josh? Wow.
I know of this webinar because I am less than 1 degree of separation from a person that was on the panel of that. So I knew about it well beforehand. And I've had a lot of time to think about this. I was not able to make that webinar, that panel. I was not able to view it, but my PR person is. So one of my employees was there. And let me be clear, first of all, and this to me is extremely important right now, and I hope as many people can hear this as possible. First of all, I don't see anybody who is anti-alcohol. Now, an anti-alcohol lobbyist would be an extremely few amount of people. It's that whole headline was different than the content of the actual meeting, which is fortunately because that kind of rhetoric is creating an us and a them. And in all of the owners that I deal with, and all of the vendors and all of the producers and all of the people like you and everybody else is just like, this is so cool. Like wellness, everybody's on board for wellness. So if there's propaganda that's going to be created from the $1 trillion industry of alcohol that sounds like that, that's not cool, because that's like, it's creating sides, and it's as if there is some kind of war, when I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is not a war. This is about having more choices, and there's people that are stoked that they exist right now, and everybody's on board for wellness. The neo-prohibitionist language and the anti-alcohol language is not necessary.
I don't like it.
I really hope that is not something that continues, because it's not necessary. And it's
me too.
it's so I'm just I
Yeah.
want to make it click. Everybody's stoked. Everybody's happy. Except for alcohol losing a bunch of big dollars, totally understandable. But you know what? That's what I'm here for. I will have a conversation with the biggest CEO and the biggest boss of any corporation and company. Like, please, I would love to sit down with you guys because I can give you perspective on what just happened and what's happening right now, but also how to pivot. And like, you're going to have to pivot. This is a tidal shift.
Yes,
It's just getting started.
exactly. And I want to say to every winery, just make an NA wine, make an alcohol-free wine out there, and just have more choices. I mean, that's what I wish could happen, so that every winery could still have people that are not drinking or drinking.
Has an ability to actually pivot. They're already starting the research on it. I know a few people deep in Napa on that.
Awesome.
Wow.
So cool. Some of these, you do all these non-alcoholic beverages, or tell us a little bit about your cafe and like the mixology classes. I have lots of groups that I'm in, and they're like, oh, I tell them that I was there last month doing a mixology class. And it was so much fun. So people are loving it, by the way. So,
Yeah, that's like my favorite thing to do. It is so fun to, for an hour straight, just taste people on as many things as you can. And it's stuff that's hard to find. I got not just a bunch of stuff, but I just have like my favorite stuff, and I'm just like, check this out. And I'll make a cocktail and check this out. It's in wines. I'm just like, check this out. It's really, really awesome. And the mixology class, I like to do even more. Like, it's just fun for me to teach people how to make a world-class cocktail on their first try. Like, that's super fun. But as far in 2020, and a lot of brands had come out with things that were trying to copy the alcohol world, and honestly, failing. It just wasn't great. Like, I can make something taste good. That's what I do. But like, we're in 2023 and 2024 now. There's a lot more things that are so much cooler, and I wish every bartender knew, because they've still got the taste of non-alcoholic whiskey in their mouth. And I'll tell you right now, across the board, like, I'm over it. I'm over non-alcoholic whiskey because it's setting the expectation here, and it's just like not reaching it at all. And it is a harder sell to bring something new because people are like, huh? And but like, this stuff is so much cooler, and it's what bartenders can get behind, and they have no idea that it exists. But they know non-alcoholic whiskey exists, and they know it sucks. And they know non-alcoholic mezcal exists, and it's like, kind of tastes like watered down something smoky. I don't know. So that's where it started. And what it's going into is something I'm really excited about, which is like, essentially herbalism is coming full circle after 150 years or 1,000 years or whatever. And these are the herbs that have evolved to help de-stress the body. Like that's what adaptogens are, things that de-stress the body. They also may not be for everybody, especially for people that like take SSRIs. There might be some conflict, maybe some other medication, but there's like 100 adaptogens. So like, you can't really say, oh, well, they all can, have issues. It's just, you'd have to do your research, consult your doctor. They may not be for everybody, but I love that there's beverages with rhodiola and ashwagandha and lion's mane, and I could name off 10 other ones, and I get to make drinks with them, and it's so inspiring for me. That's the stuff that I'm really into right now.
So cool. I just discovered ashwagandha, or how do you say it? Ashwagandha. Sorry. And I take it like right before bed. It's so relaxing. It's different. I don't know if it's different brain waves or something, but it's very relaxing. So that would be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the new drinks that are coming out that don't try to mimic an alcoholic beverage. And I mean, I remember trying one, and it was just like this experience of, I have no idea what this is going to taste like. And how many times do we have that experience in our life where, we just we know what everything tastes like in the world, right? Pretty much, and so to have this experience to go, oh, I'm really not sure what this is going to taste like. And I find them to be just some of them complex and adult, and have a little bit of a bite and a little bit of a linger. And that's what I love. So I'm enjoying kind of, trying out some of these new products and seeing which ones I like that taste good. Cause guess what? Alcohol really doesn't taste good.
Yeah. It's not the alcohol that tastes good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's been fun for me.
Somebody told me about this trick for red wine that you add bitters to it, and it actually can have that more lingering feel. Have you heard of that?
For
Or
that.
what do you suggest?
Bitters is a vegetable glycerin base, which tastes actually very sweet and has no sugar. Vegetable glycerin is like the sweetness of plants, if you will. And then it's total viscosity. So now you have a little sweetness and you have viscosity. And then when you get all the bitter in there, the New Orleans bitters is pretty good for that. And a little viscosity, a little sweetness. It's not that it's going to make it sweet. It's just it's a good thing that you can add to it. And we're in the era where it's like, how do I make red wine taste good? Because the technology is actively getting better. It's happening in real time. We won't always have this problem. We're just having it in the early 2020s, but give it 2025 and 6. It's like there will be products and we won't be worrying about it in 27.
I believe you. I believe you.
Sounds great. No, I love all the bitters. I have every single one of them, I think. I put it on everything. It's great.
Yeah.
And lots of little dinosaurs in my house.
Yeah. And you mentioned like sugar-free. So I eat a keto lifestyle, like very, very little sugar or no sugar. And so what are there like cocktails, or do you call them alcohol-free cocktails or mocktails? What do you prefer? And then are there sugar-free ones?
Yeah, I'm on team not a mocktail, and although that word gets used all the time in my business because it's the main word for SEO and marketing, and I get creative with it where I'm like, mocktails as the first word for a keyword are so 2021, or something. No, I'm half kidding, but mocktails is still a word to define something, and that thing still exists. And that is a sugary pineapple juice based drink that honestly I wouldn't even want to give to my kids if I had any. And I also definitely wouldn't want to ingest it. I actually just wrote an article about this yesterday, and I added up all the grams of sugar in a 12-ounce cup with ice of a Shirley Temple, and it was like 47 grams. Technically, that was 6 or 7 ounces of liquid.
What?
So now we have 47 grams of sugar on 6 or 7 ounces of liquid, which is over double like a Sprite or a Coca-Cola or a ginger ale. So it's like, why would you give your kid that? Like, it's not, anyway, not a mocktail. So the drinks and then it's a $3 drink or whatever, right? So what we can do now is we make $12 to $14 drinks, which is great for business, easy sales point. And it's also for adults because it's really millennials driving this whole market. And they grew up drinking like Manhattan variations and white Negronis and the cocktail renaissance of the 2010 to 2020. They don't want, and nobody wants sweet. I mean, some people do, but nobody really wants a sweet drink. Those are mocktails and they're $3 or $4. So we're past that. And there's so many cool non-alc cocktails. Non-alc I've been saying that a lot, so now it's become its own word. It's like non-alc. It's like, that's the word.
It's a thing. Non-alc.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Cool.
Non-alc.
And so you have specific, like if I go to Ocean Beach Cafe that, or for people that are really watching their sugar, you can totally take care of us. Yeah.
Absolutely can. I know what I would get you. I'd get you the free spirit elixir stuff. It's like by far the most expensive thing in the room, but it's the most inspiring thing too. And it is made from glycerin and has 6 or 7 different adaptogens, nootropics, and nervines. And nervines is like not a buzzword yet, but it's that's all herbalist language. That's now buzzwords, adaptogens and nootropics, and then nervines are things that like maybe soothe the nervous system, like hops or valerian root and stuff like that. But there's this really cool from Free Spirit Elixir. It's an apothecary. This couple, they make amazing stuff. Not to be confused with Free Spirits, non-alcoholic spirits from Mill Valley. Different folks, but I would make you a drink with that because it's still gonna have the balance of thickness and sweetness, but no sugar.
Oh, okay. I had the nightcap of the Free Spirits nightcap at one point, and it did taste very sweet to me, but it's interesting that it doesn't have a lot of sugar.
So sorry.
My husband drank most of it, and he still drinks alcohol. So I was so mad.
A little confusion
Is this
there.
different?
I said free spirits elixirs. Sounds a lot like 3 spirits elixirs. So yeah, there's a bunch of.
Oh, 3 spirits.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
Ah,
okay. 3
okay.
spirits. Okay.
Yeah, so
And they're from Mill Valley. Okay,
the-
cool.
Let me just make this clear really quick. I know it's really confusing, so I'll enunciate because I do mumble a little bit. So the one that you're talking about is 3 spirits elixirs, and they're from the UK, and they make the nightcap, which is a sweet drink and has maple syrup, and it's also like the #1 seller, supposed to wind you down, and it's one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite things to make a cocktail with too. So that's 3 spirits elixir. Then there's free spirits, which is from Mill Valley, and
3.
they make and then tequila, whiskey, and aperitivo. That is from Mill Valley, so they're alcohol analogs. That's free spirits, and then the glycerin-based one that I was talking about, which is like $27 for 3 ounces, is and with all the adaptogens in it. That is free spirit elixir. So they all sound similar, but they're very different from each other.
Yeah,
they do all sound similar. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the nightcap was really good though, but my husband drank most of it, which I was really mad. I'm like, that's mine. But he's becoming more alcohol free.
Yeah. Well, Susan was talking about she might be in the area maybe in November or something, and we might come visit the cafe, and we'll order one of these, and I might be able to come in October. I'm just so thankful for you and sharing the message. And so we're getting to the end here, and we always ask our guests, what do you feel? What do you do to feel lit, alcohol free? Josh, what do you do?
Man, I write songs. I love writing songs. That's I don't get to do it very much because I'm crazy busy. What I get to do more often is I surf. So that's getting barreled while surfing is like one of my favorite things to do. But something I get to do super often is share really, really cool beverages with people. I get a lot of enjoyment that just lights me up, and it also lights up other people. So I got 3 of them there for you.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's awesome.
Yeah. I love, having a good non-alc cocktail. It does light you up. I mean, I went to a bridal shower, and the bartender, I just went up to her, and everyone was having espresso martinis. They're all young, 30, 29-year-old girls. And I just said, I'm alcohol free. Can you make me something? She made me the best. It was sort of a lemon drop. It was so good with a sugared rim, and it just made me feel so special and feel like I could join in. And everyone was asking me what my drink was, and it just made my experience right. And so you can do that. You can light up someone and help someone feel special, because we deserve a special drink, right? Just because we don't drink alcohol. And so then when I went to the ladies' room afterwards, I stopped by and I said, that was the best drink I've had ever. And she was like, I'm sober. And she just so appreciated it. And so that was just a really sweet little moment there, so you really can light people up, and it's so appreciated.
Yeah. And I finally found a wine that I love, an NA wine. It's from Joyous, and they're up in Washington. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward now to going to Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner and bringing this and putting this on the table because, well, my dad was a winemaker and I worked in the wine industry. So wine was always on the table. So I'm just looking forward to sharing NA wines because they're delicious, and it's going to be a different Thanksgiving. I'm so excited. Yeah.
You got it when you come down. I'll get you a free sample of that Geronimo Red. It is $69 a bottle for the large bottle, but there's a half size bottle that's $39, and it's gonna light you up. It's unbelievable. It's
all right. We're gonna be lit. And feeling it. So before we got on, we were talking about the name of our podcast, Feel Lit, and then it's also Feel It, right? If you say it fast. So, the songs and the surfing and helping people, with NA beverages. I'm really impressed with all you're doing. So thank you so much for
Yes,
being here. Is there
thank you
anything else
so
you want to
much.
share? Like, where can the listeners hear more about you and connect with you? I mean, we'll put the links below the episode, but anything else you want to share before we?
Yeah, you can ocean.beach.cafe on Instagram. That's kind of the primary social media account. If you really want to get closer, it's Josh the Non-Alcoholic is still on Instagram, and I've been using that one more lately because I've been traveling so much. And one of the reasons I'm traveling is because we're actively filming. We just filmed a second location to create a sizzle reel, and we're going to pitch that to Netflix, for example. So I'm going to get a show on Netflix or something comparable, so we can show everybody this. And once people have that information about what's going on in this industry, I know it's going to help them out a lot. And
I love that idea.
I'm really, really looking forward to that. And yeah,
Like
feel free
the
to
Anthony
reach out anytime.
Bourdain of NA
Yeah.
drinks. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And if you're in the San Francisco area, go to the Ocean Beach Cafe. It's an experience. Or maybe if you're in the area, you can do a mixology class and see Josh. And all right. Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
guys
much.
so much for today. Yay.
Okay. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to Feel It Alcohol Free Podcast. Do you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show?
All you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do 2 simple things. Leave a rating and review telling us what you think of the show. And in that review, ask us any questions you have about breaking free from wine or living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
That's it. Then tune in to hear your question answered live. Don't forget to grab your copy of A Wine-Free Weekend at www.feelitpodcasts.com.
And remember, do something today that will help you feel lit.
See you next time.